Hello. I'd like to take just a few minutes and go over kind of the heart of chapter one. I'm going to use the slides that the book gave us, that Stu Kent gave us. I'm not going to read them to you or I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just going to kind of hit some highlights and some important points to help those of you that miss being in a classroom and getting a traditional lecture. I don't want this to be too long. I don't want to, lose you, an hour into it or anything like that. So I'm gonna try to keep it short. Um, so I am gonna go through several of the slides and kind of get brief points on them is basically what I'm going to do. Feel free to take notes or not or whatever. We do have a quiz on chapter one, and there are also some study slides inside of Stu Kent for that. So these are different. These are the slides that go with the chapter, and then there is a study guide. Um, it's actually a set of slides as well. Inside of in your student resources. So if you want those before you take the quiz, review those as well. Let me share my screen and we'll just go ahead and jump in and get started. Um, play from start. Okay. This is chapter one. And if we were in class right now and today was our first day of, I'm going to say lecture, but I'm going to say I'm not a big lecturer and a board full of notes and stuff like that. What I'm really talking about is that first day that we really start diving into what entrepreneurship is. And at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is creating jobs. It is solving problems. It is everything involved in all of that. It says the best thing that you can do in your career and in life is to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And every business owner will tell you that there is some uncomfortable times in business ownership, and that shouldn't scare you. It should actually challenge you. Um, from the book, what is an entrepreneur? They start and run a business. We're willing to risk a whole lots of things, but we're also willing to work on ourselves personally. Um, I always ask everyone, tell me why you want to open a business. And there's always somebody in the room that says, because I don't want to work for anyone else. I understand that wholeheartedly. But when you're a business owner, you're working for your customers. And if you don't work well with others, business ownership usually, I say usually, may not be the best avenue. However, let me say this. If you are willing, no matter if you work well with others or not, no matter what the thing is, if you are willing to um, work hard, to work on seeking out opportunities rather than just sticking to that original idea you had, if you are organized and you're willing to put in the work, entrepreneurship absolutely is for you. If you're not organized, that's okay. But the willingness to become organized in some capacity, whatever that looks like for you, we're good to go. I would always ask you, why do you want to be a business owner? And the answers are on the screen. These are nothing new. I need more money. I don't want to work for someone else. I need freedom. I love what I'm doing and I want to make money at it. Maybe you're creative and you want to be able to sell your art in whatever creative capacity that is. Or maybe you're a problem solver or a solution giver and you want to be able to convert that into business ownership. Um, Things that impact businesses. Competition, number one. You will hear me say both competition can make or break your business, but also competition has nothing to do with your business. But that comes from a spot of you've always got to keep your eyes and your ears open to what's going on in the marketplace in general, both locally, if you're a locally owned business, traditional brick and mortar, or industry wide. If you're an online only business, where is that industry going? What do other businesses do? Competition and knowing the competition and what the competition is doing is imperative, because if I am buying the thing that you're selling. Why am I giving you my money? And we have to really narrow down that. And we're not going to get into the nuts and bolts of that today, but always know what your competition's doing. Always know what they're about to do, how much they're charging, where they are, all the things, all of it. Because at the end of the day, you're competing for customers. You're selling the same thing. You're selling the same service. The economy. This is not political. The economy impacts what we do. The economy can impact how successful we are. If you've ever been laid off, you know that the economy can lead to that. It impacts how much you charge. If you're watching housing prices right now, 3 years ago, housing prices, interest rates were incredibly low. People were buying houses upright, sideways. It did not matter. And you were getting big houses for low dollars because interest rates were low. But now it's very hard to sell a house. Interest rates have tripled in the last 3 years almost, between doubled and tripled. But when interest rates go up, fewer people are buying houses. You may not have a business that's in the housing market, but it still impacts how much you can charge for the thing that you're trying to sell. If you own a grocery store or a convenience store, heck, as a consumer, you and I both know that groceries are way more expensive right now than they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It impacts customers' ability to spend money. And if your business is tied to disposable income, that money that everyone has at the end of paying bills, and therefore they can make choices that they want to at the end of buying whatever that they want. So bills are paid, groceries are paid, all of that kind of stuff. Now I want to go shopping. If groceries are costing more, there's less disposable income. At the end of the day, you do need to be paying attention to what the economy does and how that impacts business ownership, not just you as a consumer. You need to start thinking like the business owner and how things impact you. And so the economy, I will not ever, I'm one of those that no matter who is in office, in whatever office that is, they have very little to do with how much people are spending on certain things. So when we talk about the economy in this class, it's what happens within the economy that can impact a business, but more importantly, how can it impact a consumer's ability to spend money? And if I'm doubling my grocery budget every week because prices have increased so much, I don't have enough money to spend it on the things that I used to spend on even this time last year. So kind of keep your eye on what the economy's doing and what prices are being raised and lowered and this, that, and the other. Customers. Without customers, we have nothing. We have to keep them happy within reason. We all have heard of that one business that did that one thing and no one ever shopped with them again, and now they're closed. So it's within reason. You can't make everyone happy, and you'll never hear me tell you to do that. But it's our customers that end up supporting us financially. We want them being our champion. How many of you have ever worn a Nike sweatshirt or you bought a handbag that showed the brand on the outside? We want our customers wearing our brands in any way that works within our industry. And so we have to really get in the minds of our customers on what makes them happy and kind of what their needs and wants are. Our partners and our vendors, the place that we get the things that we use to create the stuff to sell. Delivery, so that supply chain, we call it a supply chain. It's from the manufacturer all the way to us and all of the orders and shipping that in between. We get real upset if it takes longer than normal to get something delivered, and our customers get upset. I ordered a sweatshirt from a local company um, before the holidays, and it was a holiday sweatshirt, and they ordered it. I mean, it was already ordered before I placed my order with them, so they were doing pre-orders because they had already pre-ordered their lot of boxes of that shipment. I got it on Christmas Eve. So I got to wear it, but I got to wear it once because it was a Christmas sweatshirt. There was nothing that company could have done. It all went down to the supply chain and why it took so long to get that kind of stuff. So you really have to pay attention to delivery and delays, and that can negatively impact your business. I would always tell any business owner, if you are supplying or selling tangible items, whatever they are, always have a backup supplier and start keeping your eye out to see who is doing shipping faster, especially if someone that used to ship same, weekly, it's now taking months, or um, if something was shipped same day and now it's not shipped till next week, kind of keep your eyes out for alternative suppliers. And then let's say you need to understand the market and who your competition is. Just because you open the door to the business that you're opening, doesn't mean somebody's just going to walk in and go, please take my money. We need to understand that. We need to understand just because we're good at the thing, maybe it's cutting hair or doing nails or lawn care or whatever. Just because we're good at it doesn't mean that that will translate in the minds of customers for them to come in and give us their money. So we need to figure out the market, the competition, what does that look like? And we need to kind of be in it for the long haul and understand how our decisions will impact a lot of those things. There are outside influences. And I said competition, you'll hear me say competition has everything to do with impacting success and then has nothing to do at all with impacting success. You cannot control what your direct competitor is doing in terms of promotions and sales and all that kind of stuff. But you can make sure that you are aware of absolutely everything they're doing. Shopping with them weekly, getting on their newsletter, checking their website, following them on all their social channels, whatever the thing is for whatever competition that is for you. You need to know what they're doing. Promotions, lower prices, price cuts. You also need to know if a lot of people are entering that market and therefore you're flooding it. If the market in your area gets flooded, you need to be able to pivot to where you're offering some type of something to entice people to still continue coming in with you or shopping with you, even if it's online. So kind of keep that in mind. And that may not just be sales, that may be diversifying what it is that you are selling. And I'm gonna very quick example. Most bookstores these days also have coffee shops inside them. And for a lot of us, that makes perfect sense. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that really wasn't a thing. And then now all of a sudden, every Barnes and Noble you go into, there's a Starbucks, there's whatever that is, that now makes sense in our minds. That is a simple example of diversifying your selection of what you're selling. And so that diversification may not initially make sense, but then all of a sudden you think about it and you're like, heck yeah, I want a cup of coffee every time I go to the bookstore. Just kind of keep that in mind. You got to know who your customer is, and you got to know what they want or what they would need, or something as simple as what would just make them happy. In the bookstore setting, if I order a cup of coffee while I'm there, I am more likely to sit down and read and relax and take more time. And that leads to spending more money because I'll look at more than one book and I won't just buy it and leave. I'll walk through the stacks, drink my coffee. It's almost like a me time scenario. So that's a really simplified example, but diversification can be important when you're seeing lots of new businesses in your industry opening up. So just kind of keep your eye on what your competitors are doing and the new competitors that are entering. The stock market, the economy can shift how much money we can spend. If people are losing money, and I'm not even going to say losing money. The slide talks about investments in retirement. I'm not even talking about that. I'll go back to the groceries are expensive right now. That means we have less money to spend. So kind of keep your eye on stuff like that. This goes back to what I said a while ago. It's angry customer. Customer satisfaction is very important. If something goes wrong, and it is a very bad going wrong, you have to figure out how to acknowledge it and fix it. There was a nail salon locally where I live, and she got a couple of bad reviews. And instead of acknowledging it and doing better, she deleted all of the negative reviews online, and then it got out that she was deleting all the negative reviews. It was 3 months later, and she was closed. Everyone stopped going there because it felt like she was hiding something. She was actually it was a very good nail salon, but I think the whole concept of acknowledging that you've got an angry customer and finding a way to either fix it or make sure it doesn't happen again or get better at it, I think that can go a long way. Again, we talked about supplier issues a while ago. There's limited things that we can do to prevent it, but in my opinion, I think we need always a backup. One of these bullet points says professional relationships are important to maintain and communication is vital. I think that goes with anything. If you have an in, or if you've made nice with a vendor or a supplier or something, and they're more willing to work with you, they'll answer your call when you call asking, hey, why is my stuff 2 weeks late? Kind of keep all of that kind of going in your mind. Also, your decisions. It says failure to plan, act, or engage could cost you money or your reputation. Don't delete all the negative comments. Don't just ignore the bad. Let's work on ourselves personally to be better, both internally in ourselves and within our business. It is our actions that go make us move forward. And so kind of start now, if you haven't already, doing your own personality work through, or your own kind of internal dialogue that you have. If I don't handle criticism well, so it's something I'm working on. If you don't handle criticism well either, we need to find a way to kind of process that information as it comes in and then try to be a better human. That way our customers are seeing the work that we're putting in. You got to know who you are as a person. You need to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are as a human. Again, I don't handle criticism well, but it's something I'm working on. Self-reflection. If you haven't started doing your own self-reflection, please start. Look at yourself daily and go, okay, this is a thing for me. How do I need to work through that? Knowing yourself is very important. We've got 3 assessments, personality assessments to do this week, and one of them is Myers-Briggs, or also called 16 personalities, DISC assessment, and then Enneagram. So you'll do those, and we've got a discussion question going on those 3. Myers-Briggs helps you understand yourself and those around you. It actually selects a personality trait and gives you this label within the categories, and it's the letters. So like mine is INFJ, and that means introversion, intuition, thinking, no, feeling, and judging. So the letters there mean something. Everyone will get an assigned trait. And then you can start kind of expanding your research on that. You can do a simple Google search on INFJ, and here comes a whole list of who April is. And it's pretty spot on. So, are you introverted or extroverted? Fun fact, when I was in college, which was a whole long time ago, I took this very same assessment and I was an ENFJ. And in my 30s, I became a more introverted person. So I've taken this exam probably, 10 times over the years. And in my 30s, it switched from an ENFJ to an INFJ because the older I have gotten, the more introverted I have become. So just a little fun fact. The art of how you process information, sensing or using intuition. Intuition refers to understanding information through pattern recognition and cognitive processes. Yes, that is who I am. You might be a sensing person. So you're gathering the information through all 5 of your senses. Thinking and feeling, using logic or using instinct, judging or perceiving. Judging is the preference for order and structure, and then perceiving is having that flexibility and spontaneity. I am not a spontaneous person, let me just say. Disc, for personality, highlight how you naturally work with others. Dominance, influence, steadiness, consciousness. The Enneagram, very popular right now. Enneagram started taking off a few years ago. It helps you understand how to process your emotions in the world around you, and there are 3 themes broken down into the categories that you see on the screen. I've taken this assessment probably 10 times too over the last 5 years, and I get a different answer every time. So I've read too that lots of people get different Enneagram numbers. The answer isn't a number. You're given a numerical figure, 1 through 9, and you're called a 1 or a 2 or a what? For the longest time, I was an 8. I've also been 4 pretty frequently. Yesterday, I did it while I was reviewing our chapter, and I got a 6 for the first time. I don't know that 6 fits me. So I've heard that whatever mood you are in internally can impact the change in the number. So I don't know. I don't know if maybe if I'm in a bad mood, I get one. I don't know. Anyway, Enneagram's fascinating to me though. All right, brainstorming. We're actually going to brainstorm some assignments in the next couple of weeks. So this will not be the only time that you hear about brainstorming. We focus, it says 5 rules of ideation, focus on the abstract, write everything down, bounce ideas off others, study, and then be flexible. I would say write everything down, even if it sounds crazy. I would add that there. Focus on the abstract, push your limits, think huge. Tell me that you want to put a Ferris wheel on the moon, like out of the ordinary, the crazy things. Start there. Start with the crazy. Start with the things that we could absolutely never, ever, ever actually do. I mean, I guess we can put a Ferris wheel on the moon, but no limits initially. Write it all down. Just write it. Just complete brain dump on paper. Okay. Bounce ideas off others, and then kind of start kind of focusing it off a little bit. Study and emulate. Draw inspiration from products and services that you already see. Consider products on the market. I do not know why that's not showing. Is there some solution or some other group that's already doing that? Kind of research that part. Be flexible. You're not going to get it right the first time, and that's okay. Allow yourself room to grow. Empathetic design thinking. Design thinking is nonlinear. This kind of gives the thinking process here. And when you're reading your chapter, take note of that. Empathize. Make sure you're considering your potential customers and challenges. Define to ensure you are thinking about the problem holistically. Think outside the box. Create a rough draft for that solution. So the thing about business ownership and creating companies, you have to either solve a problem or you have to meet a want or a need or a desire of a customer. If you don't fall into one of those categories, this business is not going to be a business for very long. Just because you like it doesn't mean there's a market large enough of people that like it also. So what problem are we solving for people? And we will actually dig into that in the next week or so. So I'm not going to do it here, but start thinking in a solution problem solving way as you're going through your day these next weeks and months. Try out a prototype. Let a potential customer group try it as well. Even if it's not a physical prototype, run it by somebody that you trust. See what they say. Give some feedback. Don't run it by someone that is not part of that market, though. So, for example, if you are opening a women's clothing boutique, don't just call your dad and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Um, I'm sure dad has lots of great information, especially if dad's been a business owner before. But also, you really need to talk to the women that would actually buy the things that's in this theoretical boutique that you would be opening. So talk to those people. Um, Consider the other steps and evaluate what kind of changes that you need. Talk to people, figure out, take their feedback, welcome it, even if it's hard to hear. And then let's get that vision going. Know what the end goal is. Make sure the actions today are going to get you where you want to be tomorrow. Plan for this year, next year, and then 3 to 10 years ahead. Long-term planning will help business. That's very hard to do sometimes. Why? Because especially those of us that are in survival mode, either financially or because of life stress or whatever. It's very hard to kind of get out of that and start thinking about how our decisions today, in fact, impact us 1, 3, 5 years from now. But start thinking about what that looks like. SMART goals. It is a way to craft a goal, a written goal, that is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So I don't want to say I want to make more money. I want to say I want to make $100,000 a year by year 5. It's specific, it's measurable because there's numerical figures in there. Did I or did I not meet $100,000 by year 5? Is it attainable? Possibly. Is it relevant? Yes. And is it time-based? Year 5. You get the point. That is a SMART goal. We will talk a little bit more about that. Myths of business ownership. I'm too young or too old. Nope, you're not. You're also never too old or too young to come back to school. So just kind of keep that in mind. I have to be an entrepreneur. I could never work for someone else. That's what I said at the beginning of this video. You do work for someone yourself, but you also are accountable to your team, your customers, your vendors, your business partners, and anybody else. I'm tired of being chained to a desk. Being an entrepreneur will give me more freedom. I've never worked so many hours in my life as I did when I was a business owner, because you are the person that has to fix the things. You will work more, but you do have a say-so in all of that. There is freedom in that. I can't be an entrepreneur. I'm not a natural born leader. As with most other things, characteristics like patience, problem solving, time management, communication, and decision making lend themselves to certain things, but everything else can be acquired. Everything can be acquired. We can learn those things. I'm not going to pretend like business ownership is not stressful, because it is, but you can become a good leader. My idea is so good, it's going to sell, and I'm not going to have anything. Okay, you get it. Not really. Very few things end up like this. Very, very, very few. You still have to work hard to make everything a success. I don't really care about money, so I'll start a charity instead. Entrepreneurship really isn't about just profit. Business ownership is important. Charities are also important, but understand in some ways, and we'll get to this another week, you may not actually have to choose between the two. So entrepreneurs are all very outgoing and natural extroverts. Not really. There's a lot of us that are actually very introverted. And it takes a whole list of different kinds of people and a variety of humans to make business ownership work. I can't be an entrepreneur because I don't have any money. We're going to talk about some businesses that actually not going to cost you anything to start. So if you fall into this myth here, if you were the one telling yourself that, the slide says there's many ways to obtain funding. I'm not even going to say that, because it's very hard to obtain funding to start a business. If you're up in the middle of the night and you're watching those infomercials and they say there's $400,000 a year available to all new business owners in Arkansas. There's not. Um, there is funding opportunities out there. I'm not going to pretend like there's not, but in a lot of ways, it's hard to get. But there are businesses that you can start for little to no money, and by little, I mean less than $1,000. So we can discuss that a different day. I can't take the risk of running a business that's too much responsibility. Let me say this. It is huge amounts of risk because you are putting up your money, you are putting up your time, you are taking time away from your family. Um, it is risky, but all of us can do it if that's something that we want to do. If I work hard and put in long hours, my business will automatically be a success. Sadly, no. Also, success is a relative term. That's very subjective. What success looks like to you may be different than what it looks like to your neighbor or me or someone else. It's very subjective. Success for some will end up in a numerical figure, $1 million a year in sales. For others, it will mean that you can afford to put your kid in private school. For someone else, it may end up actually being when you can pay your bills as they come in the mail and not have to wait till payday. Success can be defined very differently. So, but no business will be an automatic success. It takes a ton of work. So keep that in mind. Um, just good skills to have: problem solving, patience, time management, interpersonal skills, communication skills, decision making skills. If you don't have one or more of these, it's okay. But no, it's one of those things that you would need to work on. All of us have things to work on within ourselves. One of these may need to go on your list. We're not going to actually talk about Jasmine Abrams. I meant to delete this slide. So I want to stop there. That is the gist of chapter 1. Chapter 1 does not do a deep dive into opening a business yet. We're not there. We are just kind of entertaining that idea of, do I have what it takes? Every single one of us has what it takes. All of us do. Even if you don't have a business idea yet, we're going to use some time in the next couple of weeks to start brainstorming a business idea. So I want you to take those to heart, because although they will be assignments of brainstorming, at some point I'm going to ask you to pick one of those ideas that you've come up with, and we're going to start doing some work on that business. And so let's use the next couple of weeks to work on ourselves, work on these business ideas, brainstorm, all of that good stuff. And we'll start piecing together a few things with business ownership in a couple of weeks. Side note, as we're operating through class, make sure that in the beginning of this class, there will be assignments that I'm not going to ask you what business you're opening, but towards the middle and end of the semester, I will ask you, hey, let's stop and pick a business to theoretically work on opening. So if there is an idea that you're already having, or ideas that you're already having, start writing those down, because at some point I'm going to ask you to pick one of those. And then there's going to be a list of assignments that we will complete based on that business idea that you end up having. We don't have to have that decided today. Just know that as we're working through the class, one of the projects that we will have will be researching this business idea that you have, not a business idea that I have. So if you already have that business idea and you're ready to go, great. If you're already trying to open, but you're kind of falling short and you're not really sure why, great, you're in the right spot. So we will be brainstorming. If you look at me and go, I never wanted to open a business, please, I just took this class as an elective. That's okay too. We will figure that out. So I'll stop there for today. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope that chapter 1 is interesting to you. Take notes. And there's another video in Blackboard of me going over all the assignments that are due this week. So make sure you check that out. And if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I'll talk to you soon.